Hello, everybody. So nice to see you here. Oh, sorry, that was last year. And I'm still having problems with the mic height. Good to be at the front and welcome you to this evening's proceedings. I have the greatest pleasure in thanking our keynote speaker, Carolyn Godfrey, for the wonderful keynote speech she gave this morning. Often we think that we've got to do great and wonderful things to bring in God's kingdom. But it's what we were reminded this morning. It is those small acts that transforms people's lives. And we can all do that. We may not think we're superheroes and can do great things, but those small acts of kindness. And thank you so much, Carolyn, for reminding us of that and challenging us with all the various thingy-wiggly things to do. So please, will you come up and receive a small gift from us to show our appreciation? Where's she gone? Yes, we should have warned you to sit at the front. No, but thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, okay. Thanks so much. And I'm going to hand over to Philippa. Where's Philippa? Oh, she's at the back as well. Oh, no, you're not. You're at that. Right. I can sit down. Sorry, that threw me. I thought I'll have to say something else first. Good evening, ladies. Good evening. It's lovely to be here. I just wanted to say, first of all, we're going to be having a little bit of feedback from all the workshops, so you can find out what's happened in the rooms you've not been, in the rooms you've not been in, you can find out what's happened. And perhaps if that workshop's on again next year, you can think to yourself, oh, it sounded interesting, I'll book on that. In that context, I want to say thank you to so many of you that sent in your requests quite quickly, because it made the job far easier of being able to sort out everybody getting what they wanted. So a big thank you to all of you that sent them in, and I hope everybody's happy with what they did. I'm going to do a quick advert for next year. I can't even remember what date it is. But if any of you have sat there at a workshop and thought to yourself, oh, I could do something, or I've got this knowledge, or I know somebody who could do something, will you let me know? Because it's always good if we've got a bit of a variety, rather than keep asking the same people again and again and again, even though they're really good. It's the more variety we get, the more you enjoy it. So either email me on the workshop's email, see me before we all go home tomorrow. We're not really going home, but before we go home tomorrow, and just put your name down. And you're not committing yourself. It just means I've got a list of people I can contact and say, would you like to do a workshop? All right. So what we're going to do now is, as I say, we're going to have a quick view of what each group have been doing in the workshops. And we're going to open with some circle dancing, which I know a lot of you can go to, went to last night, or every year Gillian tends to provide an opportunity. So we're going to start with circle dancing, and then straight after, Sue Smith is going to feed back on the workshop that David did, because obviously he's not here. And then Fiona is going to feed back on the Girls' Brigade, because they're not here either. So that's two people who attended a workshop are going to give you a bit of an overview. And then I'll come back after that. So, Gillian, the floor is yours. So, okay. Yes. Can you move those? Sorry, we'll just move the furniture a bit again. Are you ready? We need some more people on this side, please. And time is going, so I'm going to talk and you just organise the groups. So
I was first introduced to circle dancing at the start, at the first Women's Network conference I ever went to here in this hall in 1994. So be warned, you might find something you enjoy. But circle dances are community dances, so things that you would see everybody dancing together, unlike folk dances and things. They can be fast, they can be gentle. Mine are generally gentle. There are new ones being created all the time, and so we're going to show you one of those. Circle dance is not a performance, it's everybody doing, sort of taking part for themselves. So, and we haven't had much time. The words are going to be on the screen, hopefully, and please join in and sing. It's Go Peaceful by Paul Field, and we felt that fitted very much with our conference. And to be praised with Helen.
Go peaceful in gentleness through the violence of these days. Give freely, show tenderness in all your ways. Through darkness, in troubled times, let holiness be your aim. Seek wisdom, let faithfulness burn like a flame. God speed you, God lead you, and keep you wrapped around his heart. May you be known by love. Be righteous, speak truthfully in a world of greed and lies. Show kindness, see everyone through heaven's eyes. God hold you and fold you and keep you wrapped around his heart. May you be known by love. God speed you, God lead you, and keep you wrapped around his heart. May you be known by love. May you be known by love.
Oh, we've started. Right, okay. So, when I found out which groups I was doing, it said, be dazzled by new light. Wow, I thought, what's this going to be like? A jeweller's shop window, new flashlights, what's going to happen? No, it wasn't that at all. And I have been paid a great amount of money by David Palmer to give a really good report on the afternoon. I want you to know that before I start. So David very generously gave us all one of these books that he's written. And I have a huge amount of paperwork here for you. So there's a list of all the books that he has written and an information sheet as well. So I'm going to put them at the back, so please do take one when you leave. But Bedazzled by New Light was a new way of looking at scripture. Now, we all want to do that, don't we? We want to find those little gems in between the lines in scripture. Oh, I'm doing fine. I can do a sermon now. Because the way we read it, sometimes we read it because we're so used to it. And David made us look at a poem, The Little Red Hen, and look at the way it was written and where the punctuation should be. And he took it back to the Greek. Now, it's at this point, I need to confess, those of you that know Margaret Parker, she tried to teach me Greek. Well, I didn't do very well with it, but I did try, and I have learned some. But David worked through an hour of really intensive teaching this afternoon, helping us to look at a passage of scripture and what it really means and how to break it up to find the meaning that was originally meant for those words in scripture, rather than just reading it through as if we've always known it. This huge book here looks at different parts of scripture. This is not a particular one because he's written one that's just on Matthew, I think. But it's so fascinating. And it was dazzling. It was a bit daunting to start with for some of us because we were a bit concerned about what we were doing. Then all of a sudden, the light bulb shone and we understood just a little bit. Now, don't test me because I'm not sure. But one of the things David didn't ask me to do this. I'm asking you to do this. This is a huge gift from David. And he also is very involved with the Fund for Human Need. And he has asked that anyone who's picked up and was given one of these books this afternoon, that we make a donation for Fund for Human Need. Now, where is, here, Jill. Jill is happy to receive any amount of cash from you tonight. So in lieu of the books that we've received, and they are treasure troves. They're going to be wonderful for us to use in the future. So I think that's about me finished for the feedback, but it was a fabulous session. And if David does it again, I would definitely recommend it. Those of you that have done it today, did you enjoy it? Yes, excellent. Thank you. Enthusiastic, Irene. That's what we like to see. Okay, thanks very much. I'll put all the paperwork at the back and you can either give donations to me or to Jill. Thanks very much.
Hello, ladies. Right, I'm here to talk about, I went to the session about the Girls' Brigade. And when I saw that there was a session about the Girls' Brigade, I thought it stirred me. Okay, hands up, all those who were in the Girls' Brigade. There we are, yes. I can remember, I absolutely loved my uniform. It was the one with the tunic and the red jumper and the round hat. Do you remember it? It was a proper uniform. And I still remember, because I was obviously quite young. So I was about this, you know. And I still remember that I made out of card and raffia a teapot stand. Does anyone else remember making a teapot stand? There we are. So it was obviously in the curriculum. It was obviously a badge at the time, probably. And it really brought back memories. And it even brought back memories because I know that... Does anyone know of a girls' brigade near you now that still meets? Right, well, that's fantastic because I'm actually moving next week. And coming here, it actually made me think, you know what, when I move, because I'm moving to a new area, and I thought, if there's a girls' brigade, I might be able to contribute to that. So you know what, if you know in your area that there's a girls' brigade, and if you think, oh, you know what, I'd like to get involved, because unfortunately, post-COVID and over the last 20 years probably, there are fewer girls' brigades, and I think other uniformed organisations have had a similar issue. I think, could I do something? I'm going to put that on your heart because I think someone actually put that on my heart. So there's a challenge for you as well. Anyway, so, and it's not just the old Girls' Brigade, marvellous as it was, okay. And remember, it is a Christian organisation. And a number of organisations have pushed that to one side. But the Girls' Brigade are proud to, you know, Christ is at the centre of the Girls' Brigade. And in fact, the motto is seek, serve and follow Christ. And actually that's, you know, we're proud of that. And the cross is in the emblem as well. One of the reasons that the Girls' Brigade team came was because they're actually, the Girls' Brigade is up to date. You know, it lives in the real world as we do. It's not all, you know, making raffia teapots sounds. Although kids enjoy doing that. There is an up-to-date badge system, and a Reverend Andy Fitchett, has actually helped develop new relevant badges. Now, there's badges throughout from age 4. Apparently, there is no upper age group in the Girls' Brigade. But they don't. The badges are age appropriate, but can go across. But the new ones that have actually been added are about identifying and recognising violence against women. That's quite big, isn't it? I don't know if the Girl Guides have this. And also domestic abuse. And actually that is so relevant. It's actually to recognise it. Yes. It doesn't happen to someone else. You know, it's not other people. We all need to be aware of this so we can call it out and protect our young girls and young people. And hopefully, boys' organisations will also do the same. Girls' brigades give girls space, like Methodist Women Britain give us space to talk about things that might not get spoken about elsewhere. God bless you.
Thank you both very much for feeding back. But Fiona, thank you, because Fiona knew after she'd listened, she was standing in there and I said, oh, by the way, will you? So I do appreciate that. And Bolton's losses, Silverdale's gain. We're going to miss her. Lancashire, where are you? You've got one coming. Right, 5-minute clock's on. Our next two, Sue's just mentioned, Jill Mason, who is part of Fund for Human Need, and she's here every year with her information and always does some wonderful different workshops. So she did family history, so she's going to tell you a little bit about that, and when she's finished, that's right, yes, when she's finished, it's the wonderful... Oh, rightio. Jenny's giving some feedback. Naomi. Jenny's giving feedback. So we've got Jill and then Naomi and Jenny.
Good evening, all. First, as I mentioned, Fun for Human Need is my day job, but family history is a little bit of an obsession with me. And first thing I want to do is thank all the ladies that came to the sessions, because it was great. We've been talking a lot about people's stories, but, you know, through the presidency and all sorts of things. And to me, your background, where you've come from, all the people that have contributed to who you are, that's part of your story. And I want to thank all the ladies that came and were prepared to share that. We looked at how you can do this research, how you can find out where your families have come from, how they've moved around the country in different places, why they've moved. And I've peppered that with bits and pieces about some more dubious relatives in mine and my husband's past. We have, you know, the pubs that changed hands under very strange circumstances and were considered lost to family. We have people that served all the way through the First World War, but never actually left town. It's true. They were stationed in Portsmouth Garrison. 3 brothers that I was surprised had survived the war. They never left Portsmouth, and so they did all right. There's a gentleman. One of the first contracts that actually the Navy had signed was one of my husband's ancestors. Because before that, you were press-ganged or paid ship to ship. And he was one of the first people at contract. He got a Navy pension in the late 1800s because of his service. There's all sorts of things like that. We did discuss with the ladies as well how some things are there to, well, they're basically lies. People tell lies about their families, especially when it comes to history. His grandmother, you know, claimed that her father was a lifeboatman that was lost in some dramatic rescue. No, he wasn't. He was a drunk that fell off his ship in Aberdeen Harbour. But she lived up to that story and she loved it, and that was her way of explaining all sorts of things in her life. Unfortunately, when they digitised the Aberdeen newspapers, the whole truth came out for me anyway. She got away with it, but never mind. You can always find things, and it's interesting how these things have come about and how they've contributed to the next generation. And how, you know, money's been lost, money's been made, people have moved on, and all sorts of things like that. So there's lots of different things. And we even talked about how people treat illegitimate folks and how the mothers were treated. And that it covers the whole experience of life. And thankfully, the ladies that joined me were lovely because they were quite happy to share their stories as well. And it's an important thing of who we are, and it was great to have that interaction. And some of them have got more interesting pasts even than me. Although I have to say, in this thing, most of the examples came from my husband's side of the family, and you know, it's not really. And it's a fantastic hobby if you're into that sort of thing. But I will take no responsibility for the amount of time you lose, the amount of money you spend, or the trouble you get into. Because believe me, once you start trying to fill in all those little gaps, then it does become really, really addictive. It was lovely to be able to share it with you all and to hear your stories in return. And next year I'm going to be pushed because I'm not quite sure whether I should be back on my day job or whether I should be doing some more of this. But thank you very much, ladies.
So I was at Reverend Jenny Pathmaraj's session on CPR for dead and dying hymns. And Jenny's a fabulous musical talent, and she's also my minister at Histon Methodist Church in Cambridge. So she was talking about, we all know that hymns can be sung to lots of different tunes, and we talked about the example of While Shepherds Watched, and we can sing it on Ilkley by Tat. And I know that lots of Salvation Army tunes have come from drinking places, but actually Jenny says the first people to do it were some nuns in the 8th century, and they got excommunicated by the Pope for doing it. So we were thinking about how you can pick literally any modern tune, count how many syllables are in each line of it, and then you can match hymns with it. So you might not know, but if you have a musical copy of Singing the Faith, there's those mysterious numbers at the top of the page, like 8787. They're telling you how many syllables there are in the hymn. So for example, and can it be? You've got 4, and then whatever the next bit is. So we had a little... Not a lifelong Methodist. We picked out some hymns, so we all workshopped together and tried to work on some hymns. So I'm not sure which one we're going to get first, but I think we've got some words and we're going to have a go at singing now. And I'm not sure how I've ended up here with singing. So, Blessed Assurance. So we've got And Can It Be to the tune of Castle in a Cloud from Les Mis.
We've got 2 more if you want them. Yeah. We'll do 513.
Okay, this is a lovely John Bell hymn that I didn't know, and it's to the tune of Elvis's Love Me Tender.
You've got to use some imagination and get your tongue around a few words.
Bear in mind, we came up with all of these this afternoon. Now I'm going to do a quick introduction because this one nobody's speaking. The group from Islamic Arts, which was St Philip's interfaith group who they've presented different things for about the last 3 or 4 years, I think, and they always have a different focus, and they've had Jewish leadership, and they've had, working in with Muslims and working with Hindus and all the different faiths of being. So this year they were doing Islamic art. It was a nice crafty one. Should have been 10 in that little room, and there was 13 in one and 12 in the other, because so many people wanted to do it, so I just kept booking them on. And what Catherine and Shahira have done is sent a short video of the background to it and some pictures which Matt's going to show. And so it is under 5 minutes. I know I've started talking. And after that, Kathy's going to come and do Loving Through a Broken Heart, followed up by Becca, who's from All We Can, and is going to do her session. So we've got this one, then Kathy, then Becca. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm from St Philip's Centre in Leicester. And St Philip's Centre is all about working together, particularly with other faiths, and living well together, and how we can do that, and helping Christians to find out a little bit more about other faiths in non-threatening ways and part of everyday life. So last year in October we did a project with Leicester Islamic Arts Heritage. We put on a day. We're in a particularly Muslim area, so the idea was to introduce some arts from different sectors. So we had Leicester Islamic Arts coming and doing some work, and so the lovely Safira here did some Islamic geometry. We also had some Diwali, Rangoli pictures going on, and a Christian artist called Hayley Fern coming and did some embroidery. We partnered with Leicester Museum to do a pop-up museum as well, and we had about 270 people come and have a go at the different art forms on that. Safira was one of the artists who came and helped us out in October, and we liked her art so much, we thought we'd share it with you. Thank you.
I'm a visual artist. I'm based in Leicester, and I specialise in Islamic geometry and watercolour painting, and you're going to try a little bit of both today. And I've just set some things out for you, but essentially what we're doing today, we're going to be working a little bit with compasses, and we'll be starting off with patterns like this. So you'll all have this grid, and then you'll draw a little bit based on that. We're going to end up with a pattern that looks like that. And you've all got worksheets. So if you don't complete it today, don't worry, you can take that away with you. So that's not a problem. And I have, just to cut time out, I have already transferred the pattern for you. So just in case anyone doesn't finish drawing, you've got this already ready to paint. So we've got paints and pencils ready for you. So
I've started already, and you're going to listen to a song which is relatively long, but it is a beautiful song. The music is from Pocahontas, but the words are written by a young Palestinian woman, and I think it tells you quite a bit about what the situation is over there at the moment. Thank you to everyone who came to my workshops. It was amazing. It's amazing, the participation. I hope you all learnt quite a bit about what is going on. I tried to keep it current, so the people who came, they were given things which have only come out since the war started. So it's that relevant and that new. Loving to a Broken Heart came from a comment from a Palestinian who lives in Bethany, works at St. George's Cathedral in Jerusalem, where David Hardman, I think many of you will know David, where David Hardman is based, and he actually looks after David, so he sort of looks after his room and his office and things like that. And David hadn't seen him for a while. And when he saw him, he said, "Oh, have you been on holiday?" "No." "Have you been ill?" "No." Where have you been?" "I couldn't get here." And the reason he couldn't get here, and I don't know whether any of you have heard about these this is the border crossing between Bethlehem and Jerusalem. It is the gates that they're closing. And all these gates are being manufactured by Palestinians. So the Israelis, because they're basically starving them, because they've no work, they've no tourists, and they've actually no outlet for a lot of the things. Because most of what the Palestinians do, particularly in sort of Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and what we would call our Christian sites, are based around having tourists there. And a lot of it is things like that are on the stall that's in the marketplace. So, as I said to the groups this afternoon, some of us are, struggling here, but they're struggling more. So if you can afford a little bit to come and look at the stall and contribute, Elias from Touch of Grace in Bethlehem, he will be able to help some of these wonderful craftspeople. And I did show a few clips of the people working this afternoon. So I'd like you to listen to this song. It is beautiful. You might want your tissues, but it is beautiful. And I think I'm really grateful to everyone who came. And I just say, go out, and all of you, if you can, spread the message of what is really happening there, because we certainly don't hear it on the British news. If you want to listen to news that will have, I'm not saying it's unbiased, but I am saying it's more relevant at times, and that's from Al Jazeera. So have a listen to Al Jazeera and what they actually have to say there about the situation, because the news here has died up, especially about Gaza, and things that terrible are still happening there. Just very quickly, the Israelis actually control the number of calories going in on the trucks to Gaza. So effectively, they're starving people. So it's so sad. And a lot of this information comes directly from David to me, so it's accurate. So if we could have the song, please. Thank you.
You think you own whatever land you land on. Palestine is something you can claim, but I know every child and man and woman has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of Al-Hassan, you learn things you never knew, Have you ever heard the whispers in the olive trees? Stories of a history untold. Can you hear all of the voices of the silenced? Can you see all of the colors of our soul? Can you find humanity within us all? of my village. Come taste the sun-sweet orange of the earth. Come roll in all the riches all around you. And for once, never wonder what they're worth. The Muslims and the Jews are my brothers. The river and the sea are my friends. And we are all connected to each other. In a circle, in a hoop that never ends. How deep do our roots grow? If you cut them out, the world will never know. And you'll never hear the whispers of the olive trees. Stories of a history untold. We need to sing with all the voices of the silence. We need to paint with all the colors of our soul. They can own the land and still all they'll own is land until you can find humanity within us all.
Beautiful, isn't it? If any of you would like any of the information that I put in the packs to the people in the workshops, then if you just jot your name and your email address on a piece of paper, I will happily email it to you. It might take me a couple of weeks to get around to everything, but I will happily email it to you. And thank you to everyone, and thank you to everyone who's been to the stall and who is yet to come. So thank you so much, and it will all go out to Bethlehem on Monday, all the money that I've taken. So thank you very much.
Don't start it yet.
You suck. If I took Matt's rig at the back and took it apart with the skills and the tools that I needed to, in theory, I could put it back together if I wanted to. That is complicated. Complex is mayonnaise. If I wanted to take it apart, I could not return it to the egg and the oil and the other stuff that's in mayonnaise that I forget. Stuff. That's complex. Poverty is complex. We've seen it in all of these different stories. There's lots of reasons why poverty is complex, all the different people and history and pain and emotion, the way that we've helped. It's complex. So we wanted to help explore why complex is an okay thing. It's frustrating, especially if you want your egg back. It's now stuck in mayonnaise. So what we've done, rather than simplify it so that it's comfortable for us, because if we're trying to make it comfortable, what we do is offer a quick fix and a solution. And instead what we want to do is say, let's sit with the complexity and let's feel that pain and frustration together. So we've felt frustration. Give me a wave if you felt frustration during our game. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. So what we did, we have a game and it is very like Snakes and Ladders, only we made it complex. Snakes and Ladders?
hang on, let me find my board. Snakes and ladders, you go along the thing, you go up the ladder and you go down the snake. And our snakes on this, crop failure, floods and cyclones. However, not everybody starts in the same way. So we've got cards and each person had their own context card. So low levels of education, and that meant that to complete the game, you had to roll the exact number to land on the final square. Poor infrastructure. Every time you land on a blank square, including the bottom of disasters or the top of ladders, you had to move back 2 spaces. Who was caught out by poor infrastructure? Sorry, that was hard, wasn't it? Frequent extreme weather events. If you land within 1 space of either side of a disaster, you still have to face the consequences. So the context of people facing poverty is different, which means that we can't keep providing a one-size-fits-all solution. To go up the ladders, you didn't just need to land on them. Oh no. You needed a project card. Projects get things moving quicker than you might have done on your own. And in our game, you had to have the right colour for the right ladder. It just got meaner and meaner. So let me give you 3 examples of project cards. So the first one, shortfall. You secure funding for a project, hurrah, but it's not enough for your core costs. So you have to let a staff member go. You can go up the ladder, but your hand capacity is reduced by 1. All of these examples are real examples that our partners face. Donor-led funding. Funding is available, hurrah, but only for a project you did not identify as your own priority. So you can go up the ladder, but immediately go back 5 spaces. Short project timeline. And if you're a lay worker in the Methodist Church, you might recognise the pain of this. A funder says the project must be completed within a year, so you have to cut corners. At the top of the ladder, roll the die and move that number of spaces backwards. Can you feel the restriction of the projects? It's frustrating, but they're necessary. They help us move. What we do have is a way to mitigate disasters. It doesn't make cyclones, floods or crop failure go away, but it does help us prepare. So we have partnership cards in All We Can, yellow. Disaster risk reduction. All We Can facilitates a proactive planning process to mitigate against future hazards. Next time you encounter a disaster, half its effects. Partner country network. Through All We Can, you're connected to other NGOs, allowing you to share knowledge and write joint applications. Choose a partner. When either of you climb a ladder, the other player may move up to 5 spaces. Interestingly, with this one, when we played it at Diaconal Convocation, someone had moved 5 spaces. That's what they heard. It landed them on a disaster. They went straight down the boards. I said, why did you move 5 spaces when it says up to 5? And they had this fear that everything was going to go wrong. They had learnt, what's the word? I've lost it. Say again? It was kind of programmed, learn incapacityness. It's not the word. Anyway, it'll come back to me. I'm 46, my brain is going. Right, and the last one. Together, with All We Can, you are able to advocate and see change on issues that affect your community. Your context card no longer impacts your choices. Ruth is going to give us a quick reflection on what she experienced. Go on, Ruth, you've got no seconds.
Okay. There was just a complete feeling of helplessness at times.
Learned helplessness. That was the word I was looking for.
There you go. You were scuppered by the complications of bureaucracy. It was a really fun game, but really frustrating. After ages and ages of working really hard, you suddenly found yourself back at the beginning because of the cards that you'd been dealt. One person won very quickly because they had good cards. The other three of us carried on playing for ages, and it was ages and ages before we finished. Real frustration, real angst.
If that sounds like not fun, but something you might benefit from, I come and I travel. So please come and see me and invite me to come and see you. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Love you.
I'll be very quick. We've 2 more workshops. When I planned this, I thought we were then going into our evening prayers. So I planned the 2 workshops that are both around prayers, but we're not going into our evening prayers because Olive's still going to speak. But anyhow, we're going to listen to Amy Wagner, who did Gathered Pieces. What? Getting Past Demand. Sorry, I've got you both mixed up. And her prayer workshop, and then we'll hear from Jenny Parnell. I'm just looking about to see where people are, but I can't see her. And hers was also a prayer workshop that she'll share with you. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I had the wonderful and just amazing privilege of getting to do something, Getting Past Demands, and it's a workshop that was born out of me taking a step back, looking at my own prayer life, and realizing that for quite a while, the extent of my prayer life for a long time was being part of a prayer chain at church, getting someone's demand, for lack of a better term, looking at it, maybe remembering to lift it up in prayer, and then, hitting the thumbs up button and then moving on. There was just not much life there. So basically I pulled together all the things that I have learned over the past 30 years, droned on about it for 25 minutes, and then the workshop got good because the ladies in the group started to share and really engage and share their practices and the things that they use to engage in prayer and the things we talk about prayer. And it was a fantastic time. And I have been so blessed by that. So thank you.
Well, hello. Our workshop wasn't so much about prayer. It was based around 1 Corinthians chapter 12, where Paul reminds us that we are one body, but many parts. And we looked at the fact that we each have a story, we each have a history, we each have a Christian walk of faith that we are still learning from. And yet, quite often we have been told in the past, or even sadly sometimes in the here and now, that perhaps we aren't quite good enough, perhaps we do things wrong, perhaps, we should think that we're not up to doing what we think we should be doing. And that's sad. And we related that, or I related that, to being creative and remembering the time as an infant when I was told I was no good at art. I was no good because I had painted the sky with green. And I was told the sky is blue. Now, we all know that the sky is not just blue. It can be any colour of the rainbow. And quite often we sort of keep ourselves from being creative and expressive because we are scared of going outside of the lines that perhaps others have drawn, not that God has drawn for us, but we're scared. And so we were given pieces of paper and pens and pastels to create. We weren't given a canvas, because if you are given a canvas, the first thing you do is panic. Because if you're given a canvas, you think, I have got to create a masterpiece.
It wasn't an art workshop. It was a case of what is God saying about your life at this moment, in this time? What is it that you can put down on paper to express yourself or your desires or your prayer? And so we looked at that. We looked at our individual stories. We hopefully shared, if we wanted to share, anything that we had created. We joined them together. I don't know if there's a picture. Is there a picture? Is that coming up now? A picture of what we had done, bringing them into a whole. We're individuals, but put our individual stories and creativity together and we create something special. So that's what we looked at. The fact that together we're stronger, and we each, whichever part of the body we think we are or we've been told we are, look again to God and question that, and just be creative. Use creativity as prayer, because the first mark is always the hardest, because we're scared we're going to make a mess. With paint and things, it doesn't matter. If paper, put it in the bin. Paint it over. Start again, because God will always, always let you start again. Thank you.
I just wanted to say a really, really big thank you to all the workshop leaders and for feeding back. And you made my job easy, organising it all. And I think everybody enjoyed what they did. So thank you all for what we've seen and heard today. Thank you. I'll hand you back now to the bosses.
Hello, she's running away already. Again, I have a pleasure of introducing somebody who I met, obviously 2 years ago, a young woman who was quite shy at the time, and often in our exec meetings, I hope you don't mind me saying, you wouldn't have the video on because you didn't feel. But I had the privilege last year of going to Cliff College with this young woman who honestly was on fire. Where's Madeline? Where's Madeline? And there she was. We went to do our publicity. And so she went to all the workshops and whatever. She's going on about MWiB and whatever. And look what's happened to her since. She's now there doing a degree. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Maddie, to tell us about her time as the Helen Kim Memorial Scholar. Well done.
I want to elaborate that Lee and I went to festival together. Lee gave me express permission to abandon her at the stall to go to the seminars. I didn't just leave her there and she was wondering where I was. I don't know how much time I've got to speak, so just turn off the microphone when you want me to shut up. I was 22 when I became the Helen Kim Memorial Scholar. I am the youngest but one of this quinquennium's Helen Kim Memorial Scholarship group. I cannot express to you, many of you saw me in 2022 when I came to my first ever Swanwick conference. I cannot express to you how terrified I was of everything. There were so many, in the early days of the scholarship, so many times that I went to a speaking appointment and opened with explaining how wonderful God is, that he had equipped me and called me to do something while I felt in myself so inept for the role that I could stand on a stage like this, in front of a crowd like this, when in my head, the narrative I had placed myself in was one of ineptitude and failure. I am autistic, and when I became the Helen Kim Memorial Scholar, I had an anxiety disorder. I can now say, by the grace of God, I do not have an anxiety disorder. God has done so so much, so many amazing things over the last few years. It's really difficult to kind of put it in chronological order. I don't think chronologically, which doesn't help. I should have prepared something. Instead, I'm just going to blather. One of the first things I got to do was obviously the World Assembly, which was on Zoom. And it was so wonderful. Just before the World Assembly, the Helen Kim Memorial Scholars met a few times on Zoom, and we learnt about the history of the World Federation. We learnt about who Helen Kim was. Does everybody here know who Helen Kim was? She was a young South Korean woman who in the 1920s had a vision for a worldwide fellowship of women from the Methodist tradition who could unite and fight for a better world, for a world that is in accordance with God's will. And she instigated what has now become the World Federation of Methodist and Uniting Church Women. It was No, I've forgotten that, so I'm not going to tell you. Never mind. I was about to tell you something really interesting, but you're never going to know. After the World Assembly, which was absolutely phenomenal, but I must say, sitting in a Zoom meeting every day for a week, I didn't know that bottoms could get tired. One of the first things that we did after that was the Helen Kim Memorial Scholars were invited to join the World Executives in Brazil so that we could meet and have fellowship. And my prevailing memory, other than the horrible, horrible sunburn, was I'm not used to a non-English sun. I didn't think to bring sun cream. I was red as a lobster. All of the photographs we've got, I'm a beacon. My prevailing memory, sunburn aside, is quite a mundane picture, actually. On one of the evenings, many of the scholars sat together on a balcony in the hotel we were staying in and talked, and we laughed together, and we joked about somebody's boyfriend, and we had a laugh about silly things and mundane things. It was the first time in my life that I had shared fellowship with women my own age, with Christian women my own age. And I sat there and looked at these laughing faces around me, and I felt human. And for a deeply anxious, autistic young woman who had been home educated and really wasn't that experienced in the world, feeling like a human wasn't something I had ever experienced outside of my home before. That is the gift that you have given me. When I am with you, when I am with my World Federation sisters and with my MWiB sisters, I am a human. And because the narrative in my head has changed, I'm no longer walking a path of failure and ineptitude. I am now walking a path of hope and of promise. Promise in myself, but the promises made by God for me in my life. I am now in a narrative where I view myself as a human. And it means that when I enter into new situations, I come as a human rather than as somebody to be walked over or an obstacle in the way of other people's enjoyment of the event, which was a surprisingly common thought process for me. Oh, I'm here, therefore nobody's going to have fun. I'm a party killer. I can now enter a situation with the understanding that I am a human. I am deserving of respect. And let's have a bit of fun. It's amazing how much can change just when you switch yourself out from one story into a different story. We're storytellers. We tell ourselves so many stories. We rehearse the story of Easter and of Christmas and of Pentecost every year. We rehearse the story of our sisterhood every time we come together here at Swanwick. In our minds, we rehearse the narratives of, I've disappointed my parents, or my siblings don't like me, I was bullied at school, I deserved that, I did such and such, I provoked them. We follow so many narratives in our minds. And for me, one of the hugest things that has ever happened in my life is becoming the Helen Memorial Scholar and being shown in such an earthy, practical, living way, just by kindness and basic interactions from women with Christ shining from your faces, that we are in a different story. We are in a story written by our Father in heaven, and we are in a story which promises a happy ending, and we are in a story where the storyteller himself entered the narrative and went ahead of us so that we could get that happy ending. That is such a beautiful thing. I've done so much as the scholar now. I've spoken at so many different events. I've been able to visit so many wonderful places. Ireland. I always wanted to go to Ireland, and I got to go to Killarney and East Anglia. Exotic. And I got to go to Epworth Old Rectory. I was so excited about that. But that's the main thing that I take away from this. As this is my last Swanwick as the Helen Memorial Scholar, I can almost certainly promise you it's not my last Swanwick. Because it's your fault. It's all your fault. And what the other students at Cliff College have to put up with me gallivanting around the halls and coming out with who knows what I say on a daily basis, that's your fault. Because you gave me the confidence and you showed me that I was in the wrong narrative, and you put me into the right narrative by God's grace and God's strength. You channeled the Holy Spirit. You channeled Christ to me. That was such a profound gift. And for the rest of my life, I hope it's going to be a long one, I'm going to treasure that and remember you. And MWiB is always, always going to have such a place in my heart, because I started this scholarship as a girl. Even though I was in my 20s, I was a girl. And I leave as a woman of God.
All right. Don't run away, Maddie. Come back. Come back. It's been a joy to see the transformation of Maddie. You've known her longer than I have, and to see that transformation. Yes, when I said at Cliff, she was on fire. But to see her on fire with the Holy Spirit, and just doing the district days and coming here and speaking with such eloquence. Oh, I'm allowed to use that word. Right. You haven't been to her. Without notes and things. So again, thank you very much. God go with you in your journey, with us in your heart, we hope. But we have a little gift. Right, over to you. You can go back to your seat. Dismiss. Barbara now. All right. Okay. I'm getting my stage directions because I haven't been to any of the meetings. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing. Nothing new. Right, so it's Barbara next. Right, Barbara. Which Barbara are we talking about? That would be Easton. Where are you? Is she here? Yes. She's run away. At the back. Up you come. Is that? you going to thank her? Hello, Barbara. I know. It's always a time of whatever. Again, I've only been coming for two or 3 years, but I've become valued as part of our exec team, and your wisdom and all that you've shared with gentleness and humour. We're saddened that this will be your last as the area president, but we hope we'll be seeing you still, and we know that we've got delightful people. So we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts too for all that you've given to MWiB through the work that you've done in the World Federation. So thank you, Barbara. Yes, you can be dismissed. Right, next.
She's just said to me, "You rat," because she's seen these flowers. No, that was Barbara.
Barbara.
Yes, because she saw these flowers from yesterday and didn't realise one of them was hers. So thank you, Barbara.
How sweet. Right.
It's over to you for the chairs.
All right. Apparently it's over to me for the chairs report. Yes, it's 2 chairs. My chair of district, Michael Townsend, when he was ill in hospital, there was a notice opposite his bed. When you finish with your chair, stack over there. I didn't get the joke at first, but anyway. So yes, our chair's report of what's been happening since last year. And we've been whizzing around the connection. I see so many familiar faces where I've gone to 11 districts, sharing the story of my experience of New York and violence against women. So trying to enthuse people. So with the history of Methodist women in Britain and the World Federation, keeping that at the forefront. And so it was a joy when Olive joined us before she became co-chair properly. We put her to work. And we met quite a few times and talked about what we're going to do in the future. So she came into the role running. She's got her running shoes on, and we haven't stopped since. I've been going, as I said, around the connection, looking at that. We did our inaugural butterfly movement service down in London, which again was, it was a great joy to be part of, wasn't it? And so many people here were able to be there and share their stories. So that's the focus. Oh, and the frame's over. Now you're all familiar. So Olive and I have been going to. So yes, I think we're going to the district is again to bring that up, to show that all Methodist women about Thursdays in Black and the importance of eliminating violence against women. So that's what I've been focusing on in this year. Olive has been doing other things, which she won't be talking about, but it's like Hillary.
What? Webinars?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why you shouldn't have given it to me. Yes. Again, over the years, we were talking about having webinars, and we just sort of didn't get round to doing it. And Olive has grasped that nettle and done a wonderful series that she's headed with all the different things we don't talk about at church. Sex. Ooh, don't talk about it. So we talked about intimacy. Well, we didn't get many takers for that. Obviously, we're not intimate in the Methodist women in Britain. But all those different things that we don't talk about church, so lift the lid off. So that's been going on, and we've got some more coming until July. So we've looked at domestic abuse, we've looked at FGM, we've looked at menopause, intimacy. What was the last one? All right, thank you very much. Yeah, social justice, poverty and money. So the 28th of May, because we haven't got one in April, it's Easter, or it has been, is immigration. Then we've got gender, sexual identity, and then finally faith and politics. So do try and come and be part of that, the webinar. You can go onto our website and get the links. That's been a great joy to see people come and share their experiences and listening to the stories. So that's been Olive's baby, so to speak. She's been looking after that. So well done for that. As I said, it's been a great joy. She's going to remind me. Said I've got a little earpiece, really. You know, what's the name? Oh yes, annual reviews. Bronwyn has done a wonderful, stunning job again. The annual reviews come out, so hopefully you've all got some. It shows what we do as Methodist women in Britain. When I first came in, I said, you know, I wanted to change the perception that we're all grey-haired women who sit and crochet. And my chair of district said, and what's wrong with that? Because his wife is Jill Newton, who sits and crochets.
So did Carolyn.
Oh, so yes, Karen. So yes, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But we are more than that. We are a strong movement. And we are what we do. And you look at all the stories around the district, the newsletter that comes out quarterly, showing what goes on in Scotland, in Cornwall. And it's good to hear that we're connected in the connection. We're not just doing our little bit. And one of the things I took away from New York was the United Nations General Secretary said, civil society groups, that's you, no matter how small you are, underpin the work I do at the United Nations. So if there's 4 of you meeting at Costa Coffee, you're an MWiB meeting underpinning the United Nations. We're doing big things. I'm getting more reminders. Next.
There's tons of things.
Oh, apparently there's tons of them. Bronwyn does not want to take them home, do you? No. Yeah. Yes. It shows some of the things. And it was great when we went to Stanford and the dancing. We all, before she took over role as co-chair, we went to the beginning of the Ghanaian Women's Fellowship in Telford. How many of you look at your watches when the preacher's gone on an hour? Right. Nothing in CPD that says it's an hour. But anyway, it doesn't say 4 hours. And we sat there and danced for 4 hours. I thought, oh, right. So it's been a great joy sharing this together. So are you going to, or am I going to?
I'll talk about the horizon.
Right, yes, that's good.
Don't go too far. The other thing, thank you, Lee. The other thing we've done, I don't know if any of you have noticed, over the month of March, we had launched prayers that had to do with the Arise and Shine. I'm going to ask Caroline to come in and just speak through what we have created from the theme today, and also what arising and shining looks like for 2026.
Good evening, ladies. It's past my bedtime, you know, so bear with me. At the very back there, you may have noticed on our boards, right in that back corner, that we've got an Arise and Shine kind of little poster thing going on. And what we're wanting to do is to capture the amazing work, A, that we've already started doing this year, but B, hopefully, you know, this morning's sessions will really have kind of ignited that spirit of stepping out into our power and into our purpose, and taking those small acts and those medium acts and those massive acts as well. So things like Fiona going to connect with the Girls' Brigade in her new local area. Fiona, I need you to fill one of these in. So on one side, it's got make a pledge. And this is for you if you've been stirred over this weekend to do a little bit more. We want you to fill this in. And when you fill it in, there's a little pot that you can post it into. But we also want you to give yourselves a star. And we want you to put your star in your geographical area that you live in. You can put it on the map, and you can put it on the list of names of your area. And we are going to see what an impact we're having across the whole of the UK with our small acts. So this is make a pledge, and on the other side, showcase existing actions. Okay, so anything you're already doing that is actually making a difference in your local community. So you've got to do one side or the other, ladies. You've got to tell us what you're doing so that we can capture that and say, actually, we are a power to be reckoned with, a force to be reckoned with. Or you make a pledge based on what you've felt in your heart this weekend. So stickers and pledge cards. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. I too had the opportunity of traveling, not as much as Lee did. And I traveled to Yorkshire, North and East, and I traveled to Lincolnshire, which is not very far from where I live because I'm in Rutland. But I had such a great time, and it was interesting because I haven't seen a lot of the country. I've been here for 10, 12 years, but I haven't seen a lot of the country, and interacting with Methodist women who, as Lee said, I had the perception that I'm going to see a group of women who are only crocheting and knitting, and getting there and meeting people who are open to doing work within the community, open to praying within the community, open to growing within the community, with very little strength sometimes, but a lot of will. And that was very interesting. So thank you to those who've received me, and I continue to travel as I can physically, but I hope to cover the whole country by the time I'm done with my tenure. The other thing that we have done, and I think a lot of you may know about it, it's probably gone around, is that we've going through a restructuring process. I hear that in the background. This is just so we can align our areas with the connectional districts, which allows us to do our small acts in bite-sized areas. All of you know that we have 12 trustees, but in the adjustments of our districts, it's meant that some trustees are crossing over from one end of the country to the middle of the country. And that for one person is a lot of work, especially if it's voluntary work. So I'm going to call Hilary Evans to just give you a bit more information on what is happening with that particular side of things. A committee was formed, which is called the Governance Committee, because in order for us to do that, there are legal compliance things that must happen on the top while we are doing the happy stuff. The governance at the bottom while we're doing the happy stuff on the top. So I'll call on Hilary to tell us a little bit more.
Evening, everyone. One of the things that most of us will be aware of, that over the years, change keeps happening constantly. It evolves. Every single thing in our lives doesn't stay the same. It evolves over time. And many of you will know that over the years that you have had any involvement with Methodist women, lots of things have changed. And they've also changed on the broader sphere of the connection. And one of our challenges is to try and keep up with the changes and be relevant to what happens across the country and across Methodism, so that we can relate to not just one another, but to women and beyond, because we do let men come to lots of our meetings, don't we, if they want to be able to relate to people across our communities. And so I guess I was collared to try and be a supportive voice in this group of governance people who are looking now at the next steps that we take across Methodist women. You will know that 3 years ago, we made a few changes. We reduced the number of trustees. We are now looking to think, how can we be sustainable for the next however many years, and be able to be flexible and adaptable in what we're doing, but retain the essence always retain the essence of what Methodist women stand for, because we work to try to support one another, to support women across the World Federation in all parts of the world who are in need of support in so many different ways, and also to think, how can we raise the awareness and make people conscious of issues of injustice? What can we do to help people understand what's happening, where things are very unfair and people are suffering through what is happening in their lives? But we can make some impact. We can't solve the problems, but we can make others aware and raise the profile of what can be done to support other women across the world. And we do it, of course, in the name of our Saviour, Jesus Christ. So there are conversations going on at the moment, and you may have noticed a rolling screen of some job descriptions, role descriptions. They are in process of being worked up. And what we're hoping is that we share across a small group of the executive, the governance group, the roles that need to be done to keep the movement in a legal foundation, but also to keep it, in a sense, able to inspire across the network, across not just Methodist women, but to do what we can across the World Federation as well. And so we are looking at several roles now, and we would really, really, really like you to think seriously about whether you or somebody that you know may be able to take on one of these roles to keep our movement strong and make it even stronger. So in those roles, we're looking at somebody who will look, and this is besides the president, the lead roles, co-chairs, whatever they end up being called. I think that we will have president and vice president, or vice chair and chair. It's still being discussed, you can tell, can't you? But we're looking at sharing the workload, because I know when I was president, the workload kept increasing and increasing and increasing, which was one of the reasons why we tried to make some changes 3 years ago. But we need to move on again. So we're looking at somebody to keep the aspects of governance and legal requirements steady and relevant to what goes on for the whole of the movement. We're looking at somebody who will look after events and be the main person organising what happens for the national events that go on. So things like the World Federation Day, things like this, they will have a key role in that. And we're looking at somebody who has some experience in things like HR potentially, who would be willing to look after the people in the movement, the people who will become, or who already are, things like ambassadors, because we hope to build up that idea and have more and more ambassadors across the country who will be the liaison between the executive group and those of us in our small groups in our situations. So if you can think about how you might be able to encourage somebody, or is God calling you? Are you getting that little voice in your head that thinks, I don't really want to do that, which would be me. But 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you think, oh, that thought's going around my head. It won't go away. It's been going around there for weeks. I'm going to have to respond and do something about it. So please really give it some thought. Information will be coming out fairly soon. In the next few weeks, we are meeting in a couple of weeks' time to try and finalise the work that we have been doing for this next stage. So I leave that with you, and God bless you all in your new roles.
I would just like to call the executive for Methodist Women in Britain, if you could all please come to the front. I will name them as they come through. Caroline Fillery.
She's going to be chair.
Is bringing the chair. She's hopefully going to. Caroline Fillery is our resources officer, our trustee lead for resources. Madeline, as she mentioned, Maddie, is our outgoing Helen Kim scholar, but she is a trustee until the 31st of August, so still at work. Bronwyn, our communications officer. If you've received any emails, they would be coming from the desk of communications. Ruth Dawson, who is currently our media officer and will be taking on board the role of safeguarding. As you've heard from Hilary, that I think those adjustments are including the posts that we didn't have that in the times we're moving are important and vital within our organization. So she'll be taking on safeguarding. Barbara is still as well the area president and representative for World Federation. I won't say the long thing because it was difficult for me yesterday. World Federation, we all know what it is. But she remains within the trustee board until the 31st of August. Absent is Sheila, who is our finance officer. She's away on holiday and has left us here on our own. And our co-chair, Leonora, my co-chair, Leonora, and Lee has an announcement that she would like to make.
I'm going to have to read it if you don't mind.
Yes.
Thanks. Oh dear. I thought I'd be fine, which is why I'm going to read it. It is with the deepest regret that I have to tell you that I now have to step down as co-chair of MWiB. After returning from a trip to Sri Lanka last year, I became unwell with a severe stomach bug, which unfortunately triggered a significant flare of my fibromyalgia. I had been in remission for 10 years. But since August, I've been continually ill, and despite my best efforts and hopes for recovery, my health has not improved sufficiently for me to continue this role as it deserves. You need someone who is consistent, and I never know whether I'm going to be ill or not. This has been an incredibly difficult decision for me. Serving as co-chair has been a profound joy and privilege. It's been an honour to lead alongside such a committed committee, executive team, and to serve this remarkable community. Attending district days and leading retreats and sharing in the life and growth of MWiB have been deeply meaningful experience to me, and I'll always cherish it. In fact, for me, it's been the pinnacle of my ministry. MWiB is a community of strength, faith, vision, and generosity. It has been a gift to witness your passion and to see the impact of our shared work. I remain wholeheartedly supportive of the mission and will continue to cheer you on, even if I must now do it in a different place. Thank you for your encouragement, your prayers, and your partnership throughout the season. I step back with sadness, but also with deep gratitude for all that we have shared. May God bless you today and in the future. I'm not going completely away. I shall be around, but I'll be going into intentional solitude and contemplation, where I'll be concentrating on writing and praying. So, you know, I'll still be around, but I wish that God will bless you all. And I thank you all, my sisters, my family, for all your support. And I wish you all, and I thank Olive, who stepped in to take over much of the role. So although I've stepped back, I'm not quite gone, but I stepped down officially on August the 31st. But I hopefully will be back here next year. So thank you.
just want to say a few words about this amazing dynamo of a woman. She came flying into MWiB's life about 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, and she has brought so much energy and passion and commitment. When Leonora rings you up and says, "I've had an idea," oh my goodness, we all run and hide, don't we, ladies? Ideas, passion, enthusiasm, energy, and we know that you always want to give 100%, and we know that this kind of period of ill health is not allowing you to do that. But we absolutely thank you on behalf of the whole of MWiB for everything you've given in this time and everything that you will continue to do. You have inspired us, you have moved us forward, and you've started initiatives which we will aim to keep going, and we hope that you'll be alongside us in whatever capacity. So we love you very much, and we just ask for blessings on your health.
She's looking after me this weekend. She says if I get too excited, she'll give me a look.
Lee's been on the stool next to me, and I go, "How's the blood pressure, Lee? How's the blood pressure? Are we okay?"
So she's now getting me too excited.
Because you're too excitable. She's far too excitable. So,
oh, thank you, Robin. I have to sit down now.
Thank you. When I joined Methodist Women in Britain, it wasn't my intention, but I think like Hilary mentioned, it was one of those announcements last in Swanwick. And I sat there and I thought, someone in my district I was sitting with, and it's their fault, said to me, "You could do this." And I said, "No, I can't." She said, "You can do this." And I thought, "No, I can't." And I left and I woke up at 2 o'clock, I kid you not, and my heart was beating. And I could find all the reasons that I could do it and none that I could not. And then I raced after Leonora on the Sunday, and I said, "Lee, I think I'll take this on." But when I got home, I thought, oh, I can keep quiet and I can hide away, and Lee looked for me. And she said, "You know the conversation we had? Do you still want to take this on?" And that was the final push. And working with Leonora has been, and the word you'll agree with me, has been explosive in many ways. The one question I was asked was, how will you cope with working with another person in the same office? And my answer, if you remember, Lee, was, I grew up in a house with sisters. One day you will love each other. The next day you will steal the other person's favorite shoe and go and put it in the freezer because you feel like that on that day. And because we've had an honest and a true sisterhood, we've had days that we've hidden each other's shoes in the freezer. So I just want to say to Lee, thank you. First of all, for the nudge. Thank you for the excitement that you brought in. Thank you for the ideas and the push. 1,000 ideas in a day, and we would pick one. Thank you for inspiring and being able to travel the country the way you did, and giving me a pair of shoes that I literally cannot fit into. But thank you very much. Thank you. I was approached at dinner time by, in fact, I was accosted by a group of people who asked whether it would be possible for us to have a repeat of the disco tonight. So by popular demand. Unfortunately, we have to be out of the room at 10 o'clock because the Potters are coming back into the room to reorder it for tomorrow. So depending on what time Nina takes us through devotions, and don't rush it, Nina, because you want to come to the disco, depending on how long that takes, Jenny has a playlist. We will have a short disco. Is that all right? Yes. Thank you. I welcome Nina, who will be taking us through our devotions for tonight. Yes. The other thing is Jenny has asked to take the minutes that Carolyn didn't use this morning because Carolyn finished a little bit early. So she's asked for the 15 minutes earlier tomorrow, which means tomorrow morning, where our program says we would be starting at 9:45, could we come through so Jenny can begin at 9:30? That just gives us a little bit more pressure to make sure we're checked out and our luggage is out of the rooms before we come in, because our checkout is at 10 a.m. So please take your luggage out when you come to breakfast or just before you come to the Bible study. And again, for those who will find it difficult to listen to our Bible study, our chaplains will be there in the Butterley, in one of the side rooms in Butterley, where you can go through quiet prayers or a time of reflection. Please value your wellness before anything else. So thank you, and we'll see you later. Over to you, Nina. Please come and get some more annual reports because they're really heavy. Just put your hands up and I'll bring some to you.
What a hard act to follow. I hope you've enjoyed the evening, the variety of the evening, but we're going to start our devotions tonight with a familiar tune, hopefully, unless Jenny's got other ideas. One of my favourite hymns, the benefit of being asked to do devotions tonight, you can choose your favourite hymns. Oh, I thought you were putting your hand up because you got a problem. Okay. So, let's just calm ourselves. The day thou gavest, Lord, is ended. Thank you, Jenny. going to read a few verses from Mark chapter 11. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. And as he taught them, he said, "Is it not written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations'? But you have made it a den of robbers." The chief priests and the teachers of the law heard this and began looking for a way to kill him, for they feared him, because the whole crowd was amazed at his teaching. When evening came, Jesus and his disciples went out of the city. In the morning, as they went along, they saw the fig tree withered from the roots. Peter remembered and said to Jesus, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree you cursed has withered." "Have faith in God," Jesus answered. "Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them, so that your Father in heaven may forgive your sins." This reading portrays Jesus' decisive action to restore the temple as a place devoted to God. It teaches that worship must be genuine, inclusive, and free from exploitation. It also exemplifies holy energy, courage, and unwavering devotion to God's purposes, serving as a model. For reflection, Jesus' cleansing of the temple invites us to ask, do our hearts and churches function as houses of prayer, or do worldly distractions and self-interest turn them into a den of thieves? True worship begins with integrity, reverence, and a heart aligned with God's will. We've said the Lord's Prayer earlier, so we'll just end with a prayer. Let us pray together. We thank you that today you have been the centre of our thoughts, activities and actions as we have met together. At the end of the day, we ask that you will be with us as we rest and give us your peace. We are aware of the power of prayer and know that you will grant us whatever we ask in your name, and we are grateful. May we wake in the morning refreshed and renewed to spend more time in fellowship with our friends and with you. For we ask this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. And a blessing that I'd like us to sing through a couple of times, another familiar tune. What? I'm standing by. It's one that was shared in our fellowship at home. And I thought, why not bring it to Swanwick? Let's do something slightly different to the tune of Edelweiss when our pianist is ready. May the Lord, mighty God, bless and keep you forever.